Imagine this, my friend, a tiny boy, no older than 6, shivering on a cold London street corner with nothing but threadbare clothes and an empty stomach. The world rushes past him without a glance. Yet somehow, that same boy would one day make millions laugh, cry, and believe in the human spirit. His name was Charlie Chaplin. How does someone rise from absolute nothing to touch the hearts of the entire world? Stay with me, because this story might just remind you of the quiet strength we all carry inside. It was 1895 in the bustling streets of London. Young Charlie Chaplin was already facing a life that would break most people. His father had left the family early, leaving his mother, Hannah, to care for Charlie and his older brother Sidney on her own. Hannah was a talented singer who performed in modest theatres, but her earnings were meagre. When illness stole her voice and clouded her mind, the fragile stability they had crumbled completely. The family drifted from one cramped room to another, sometimes sleeping on the streets when there was nowhere else to go. Charlie knew hunger as a constant companion. His clothes were worn thin and dirty. Other children mocked him for his ragged appearance, and the shame cut deep. He felt invisible, alone, and powerless in a city that never seemed to slow down for the forgotten. Then, when he was just 7, came one of the hardest blows. His mother's health worsened dramatically, and authorities placed her in a hospital. Suddenly, Charlie and Sidney had no parents to turn to. They were sent to a workhouse, a grim institution for children in poverty. Days were filled with exhausting chores, scrubbing floors, washing clothes, and endless labor. The food was scarce, the rooms freezing, and the beds unforgiving. It was a place designed for survival, not childhood dreams. But even in that darkness, a quiet spark ignited within Charlie. He discovered he had a special gift. When the other boys looked defeated, Charlie would make a silly face, walk with an exaggerated wobble, or tell a simple joke. Laughter would ripple through the group, lifting their spirits for a precious moment. In those brief times, Charlie didn't feel small or worthless. He felt seen. He felt alive. He felt, for the first time, that he had something valuable to offer the world. Years of hardship tested him, but that inner light refused to fade. By 1903, at 14 years old, Charlie took a brave step into a small London theatre that was auditioning young performers. His hands trembled as he stood before the manager. When asked if he could act or make people laugh, Charlie didn't rely on words. He let his body speak, shuffling like an old man, stumbling like someone who'd had too much to drink, then recovering with perfect timing. The manager burst into laughter and hired him on the spot. This marked the beginning of Charlie's life in theatre. He joined a comedy troupe that travelled across England, performing in modest venues from small towns to bigger cities. Life on the road was tough, long train rides in worn-out carriages, cheap lodgings, and exhausting schedules with multiple shows a day. Yet Charlie absorbed every lesson like a sponge. He mastered physical comedy, learning that a well-timed gesture or expression could communicate more than any spoken line. Audiences began to notice the thin, energetic young man who could command a room without saying a word. He moved with remarkable grace and precision, turning limitations into something magical. Success came gradually, with bigger roles and growing recognition. But the pull of something larger called to him. In 1910, Charlie boarded a ship bound for America, leaving everything familiar behind. As the English coastline faded, he stood on deck feeling a mix of fear and hope. America represented possibility, the chance to build a new life far from the streets that had once defined him. New York and the American tour that followed were overwhelming. The scale of everything, the towering buildings, fast-paced streets, and energetic crowds, made him feel small again. Yet American audiences embraced his unique style immediately. They loved how he told entire stories through movement and expression alone. Then, in 1913, opportunity knocked louder than ever. A film producer named Max Sennett saw Charlie perform and offered him a chance in the exciting new world of motion pictures, $150 a week, an unimaginable sum at the time. Charlie had never worked in film, and the transition wasn't easy. At Keystone Studios in Los Angeles in early 1914, he felt lost among the cameras and lights. Early attempts were rough. Theatre acting was broad and exaggerated, film required subtlety because the camera captured every detail up close. Directors gave strict instructions, but Charlie yearned to create something authentic. Then came a pivotal afternoon. Rushed to find a costume quickly, Charlie pieced together whatever was available: baggy pants, a tight jacket, oversized shoes, a small hat, a cane, and a modest mustache. When he looked in the mirror, something clicked. The reflection wasn't just Charlie anymore, it was a new character. A humble, resilient everyman who was down on his luck but never defeated. Proud yet kind-hearted, funny yet deeply human. He stepped onto the set, and the crew's laughter confirmed it. This was the birth of the iconic Tramp, the character that would define Charlie's legacy. In film after film, the Tramp navigated life's absurdities with dignity. He faced bullies, fell in love, helped others, and kept moving forward no matter what. Audiences saw their own struggles reflected in him and found hope in his refusal to quit. Word spread rapidly. By 1915, a major studio offered Charlie an incredible $1,250 per week. He wasn't just performing anymore, he began directing, shaping stories, and perfecting every detail. His work evolved from pure comedy into something richer, blending laughter with genuine emotion. Films like The Kid in 1921 touched audiences deeply, showing the Tramp caring for a lost child and reminding viewers of the power of compassion. In 1919, Charlie joined forces with fellow icons Douglas Fairbanks, Mary Pickford, and D.W. Griffith to form United Artists. This bold move gave them creative freedom from the big studio's control. Charlie could now take his time and pour his vision onto the screen. Masterpieces followed, including The Gold Rush in 1925, where the Tramp's resourcefulness in the frozen north, famously boiling and eating his shoe, captured both humor and hardship in unforgettable ways. Then came City Lights in 1931, a silent triumph that moved people to tears even as talking pictures took over the industry. Charlie's rise seemed unstoppable. The boy who once had nothing now had fame, wealth, and artistic control. But life has its own rhythm of challenges. In 1940, he released The Great Dictator, a bold film that used comedy to champion freedom and humanity. It was a massive success, yet it also brought controversy and scrutiny from those uncomfortable with its message. Political tensions grew. Investigations, public criticism, and shifting times eventually led Charlie to leave the United States in 1952 during a trip abroad. His re-entry permit was revoked, forcing him into exile in Switzerland with his family. It was a painful chapter after 4 decades in America. For 20 years, he stayed away, continuing to create but missing the place where his dreams had taken flight. Then, in 1972, a beautiful moment of healing arrived. At 83 years old, Charlie returned to Los Angeles for a special Academy Award ceremony honoring his lifetime achievements. As he walked onto the stage, smaller now, with white hair but the same bright spirit, the entire audience rose in a long, heartfelt standing ovation. Tears flowed freely. In that room, politics faded, and pure appreciation remained for the joy and humanity he had shared with the world. Charlie's simple thank you carried the weight of an extraordinary journey. He spent his final years peacefully in Switzerland with his wife Una and their children, surrounded by love and cherished memories. Charlie Chaplin passed away on Christmas Day in 1977 at the age of 88. The world paused to remember him, not just as a star, but as a testament to resilience. My friend, Charlie's story reminds us that beginnings don't determine endings. From London's cold streets and workhouse hardships to global admiration, he showed that passion, perseverance, and a willingness to keep creating can transform pain into something that lifts others up. He taught us that even when life knocks you down, you can stand back up with humor, heart, and dignity, just like the Tramp, always walking forward. No matter where you are right now or what challenges you face, remember Charlie. Your own unique gifts, developed through effort and heart, can create ripples far beyond what you imagine. Keep moving, keep creating, and never underestimate the power of one person's light. Thank you for sharing this journey with me. If stories of human potential like this inspire you, I'd love for you to like the video and subscribe for more. Drop a comment below, where are you watching from, And what part of Charlie's story touched you most? I read every one. Until next time, keep believing in your path. You've got more strength than you know.